Yeah, my name's Kelly. I'm a certified holistic transformational coach and a specialty in plant-based nutrition. A few years ago, I was in the worst shape of my life. So I went from the worst shape of my life to the best shape of my life using the power of plant-based nutrition. So now that is what I teach my clients in the sense that if they're struggling with a chronic disease, if they're struggling with obesity, if they're struggling with, just getting motivated, that is where I step in to take you from if you're a sick person, if you don't want to be sick anymore, I'll teach you techniques and philosophies and teach you how to eat the way that human beings are designed to eat.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
There's a lot of programs out there that says, hey, eat this, eat that, do this, do that, right? But then at the end of the day, when people try it, guess what happens? They maybe will lose some weight, but then when they stop doing that program, their weight comes back, goes back up. So my coaching style is about let's eliminate the problem, let's get to the root cause, and let's stop it right from where it is right now. Let's stop it in its tracks, and let's go a different direction. So let's change your direction. So that's what I'm all about: changing people's directions, changing their life, and transforming their health.
All right, now Kelly, let's try to understand a bit about you because here we pay a lot of attention to storytelling, then we move into what we do. Now, of course, you are helping people to change their direction for the better in terms of nutrition. But first, let's try to know you better. Give us the privilege to understand you. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Tell us a bit about you.
So I grew up in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, right outside where Disney World used to be. So when I was a kid in high school, back in the well, no, I was born in the '70s, but in the '80s, I grew up in Florida. And in the '90s, I grew up in Florida. And after I graduated from high school, I joined the military, I joined the Navy. So I was in the Navy for about 12 years, and that's why I became an instructor. My last 3 years in the Navy were spent as an instructor at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. So that is where I learned how to teach, how to train, how to instruct. So that's kind of what my style is like. My coaching style is very direct and straight to the point. We cut through the red tape. And then after that, I've been in the oil and gas industry. I worked in the oil and gas industry for about 10 years. I was a training for them as since going to big companies like Shell, BP, ExxonMobil, and I trained their technicians on how to operate the equipment. So now I've started my own company in the sense that I use those same techniques and those same philosophies that I've learned over the years in teaching. Now I use that in my coaching program.
All right, Kevin, you can see that you are a full packet now because you basically have everything. You have gone to the Navy, you have been a trainer there. Of course, you have learned how to train there. Then
Yeah.
from there, you move to some of the biggest, some of the richest companies in the world because the oil and gas industry, they actually have the money. If they stop
Like,
working today, all the automobile will stop because of course, they need to to be powered by the fuel and the gas and all. So they really do have a lot of money. But anyway, I'm not going to spend so much time there because it's going to take away the time. Now, how did you get into holistic industry? How did you get into nutrition? That is important for me.
So the nutrition part came in the sense that, like I said, a few years ago in 2019, my mother, I don't know if I told you this, but my mother passed away suddenly from a heart attack. So she was here one day and then she was gone the next day. So I
Sorry about that. So sorry about that.
Thank you, sir. So I had literally had to get on my older brother called me and say, hey, listen, mom's in bad shape. She went in for a procedure and then her heart stopped doing the procedure. So you need to get on a plane now and come here. So I came there, and of course she was hooked up to all the different machines, life support machines. And during this time, I was in the worst shape of my life. She ended up passing away the very next day. And then when she passed away, I was in the worst shape of my life. I didn't notice at the time, but when I got back from her funeral, a few months later, I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me, "Listen, you have prediabetes, and you have heart disease, and you're obese." Those three things at the very same doctor's visit. So, with that being said, my cholesterol was through the roof. Basically, my mom just passed away from a heart attack. So, if my mom just passed away from a heart attack, and the doctor told me that my cholesterol is crazy, I got heart disease, I got prediabetes. Next thing you know, I'm getting ready to pass away if I don't make any changes pretty soon. So then, about a few months later, my mother came to me in a dream and told me that I had the God-given ability to help other people heal. So now, when she came to me in this dream and told me that I had the God-given ability to help other people heal, I had no idea what that meant. Like, how do I know what that means? If I'm obese, I'm out of shape, I have heart disease, I don't know what that means. So the months went by, and I just could not shake this dream. So about a month later, my uncle came to live with us, and when he came to live with us, they told him that he had 2 months to live, and then he ended up living for 5 months. But during that time, I saw him go from a very strong person to a very weak person. So I was taking him to his doctor's visits every day, with his cancer, and then he eventually passed away after 5 months. So when he passed away, I instantly knew what that dream meant for my mother. It meant that I was in the worst shape of my life. So it meant that I needed to go on a mission to transform my own health, and then B, to be able to help others. So I transformed my own health. So in 2021, I went from the worst shape of my life to the best shape of my life in less than a year, in about 10 months. So I lost about 65, 70 pounds. So I reversed prediabetes, I reversed heart disease, and I was no longer obese. So I went from an extra large shirt to a small. So this is a small, right? So that is what I teach my clients. That is how I ended up. So then I went back to school. I went back to school, became certified in nutrition, a holistic certified holistic nutrition. The reason I went holistic nutrition and plant based nutrition is because I wanted to know the why. I wanted to know why my mother passed away. I wanted to know where heart disease came from. I wanted to know where cancer came from. So the more and more research I did, the more and more I kept getting pointed back to the food. It's the food. It's the food. It's the food. But what was it about the food? I discovered that it was the wrong fuel source. The wrong fuel source in the sense that everybody eats the wrong fuel source based on our human anatomy. So that is the reason that we're overweight, we're obese, we have all these different diseases simply because we pull up to the gas station and we put the wrong fuel source into our body, which is not good. So that is what I discovered. So I used that philosophy, and I just started putting the right fuel source into my body, which is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains. I went on a whole food, plant based, vegan lifestyle. So that is where I am today, and that is what I teach my clients, and it transforms their health.
I'm more even interested about how you move from being obese, that is using extra large, to small size that you are using today. What did you do? Help us understand that.
I use a simple philosophy. Like I said, I went on a whole food, plant based, vegan lifestyle. So I cut out everything from an animal. No more animal products, no more minimally processed foods, and I just established a routine. So that's what weight loss is all about. It's about establishing a routine. I did, like I said, I did my research, and I find out what it is, what are human beings supposed to eat. So the more and more research I did, the more and more I kept getting pointed back to the food. It's the food. It's the food. So I eliminated all the animal products from my diet, from my lifestyle, and I eliminated all of mostly processed food from my lifestyle.
Now, let's first of all look at the kind of a broad view of the African diaspora, because that is what we are concentrating on here as a demography. How much is it a problem for the people, for us that are in the diaspora?
It's a main problem. It's the main problem, and I'll tell you why. It's because 95%, 90 to 95% of all sickness and disease and chronic disease is totally preventable. It's totally preventable. So there's only about 5 to 10% of diseases where you'll have a disease and be like, okay, yeah, that's kind of like not something that you did. That's just kind of something that happened in maybe in your environment. Um, Things of that nature. So it's everything that's in your environment, everything that you eat, and everything that you drink. Those three things will contribute to a disease. But mainly, it is your fuel source. So the fuel source is the main problem. In America, 90% of the standard American diet is diesel fuel, which is the wrong fuel source. So we're talking about junk food. We're talking about cakes, cookies, animal products, eggs, dairy, everything that is not designed for the human body. Processed foods, chips, cookies, sausages, all of these different things that are not designed for the human body. They taste delicious, but it's a huge problem. That's why if you look and see everybody in about 70 to 75% of the population is obese or overweight in America. 70 to 75%. That is more, that is like 3/4 of the population is overweight, is obese. Why is that? And why is that? It's because of the common thing that we are eating the wrong fuel source. So it is a major part of uh, civilization. Let's just say, for instance, if you were to take, in my opinion, if you were to take all the medication that we, use for pre-diabetes, heart disease, all of these different medications that we take for kidney disease, cancer, all these different diseases that we have, it's simply because 90% of the standard American diet is all diesel fuel. You put the wrong fuel source into your body, then that's what's going to happen. Everything that you eat, literally, you become literally everything that you eat. So if you eat junk food all day, every day, then your body will express itself in a negative way. If you eat the proper foods that you're supposed to eat as a base.
Now, how did we come to define what we eat? Because now you said when we have the wrong food in, then of course the result is disease that we suffer from.
Right,
But you're like maybe for example you get to a gas station, you put water into your machine,
right,
it's not going to work. No, maybe it might work for a few seconds, then it's going to die off.
right.
But I'm trying to understand how did we even get set up from kind of study that you have done in the type of food that we eat. How did we end up in consuming what we are consuming today? What is responsible for that?
Marketing is one hell of a thing. Marketing, money makes the world go round. Money, in the sense that, um, for instance, in America, $38 billion, 38 billion. That is a lot of money. $38 billion goes to government subsidies. Government subsidies, in the sense that the government says that I am going to give you this industry. I'm going to give the meat and dairy industry a whole lot of money, a lot of money to be able to produce these products that are not good for human health. We're talking dairy, we're talking cheese, we're talking meat, we're talking processed foods, chips, all the different commercials that you see on the Super Bowl. It's just subliminally putting this stuff into your head. Eat this, eat this. This is the way that we're supposed to be. And even since we were born, since we 6 months old, as soon as our mother cracked open the chicken flavored Gerber bottle to give us our food when we were kids, that is where it all started. So we started getting chicken and beef and all these different processed foods going down our digestive tract, even at 6 months old. That is where it starts. So then it's all about years and years and years of conditioning. That is why now that most of the kids, a lot of the kids now in today's culture, they have diabetes. Diabetes is crazy for little kids. Heart disease at 10 years old. At 10 years old, there are kids now, you can pull their cholesterol and see that their cholesterol is horribly bad. How is your cholesterol horribly bad if you're 10 years old? Simply because of marketing. It carries on from the one generation to the next generation to the next generation. And the next thing you know, you say, oh, diabetes runs in my family, or heart disease runs in my family, or a cancer runs in my family, right? Your family does not have to suffer from that. It's simply because it's been years and years of generational eat this, eat this, eat this. And then the commercials that say, eat this junk food, eat this junk food, eat this junk food, eat this junk food. Also, they can put more money into their pocket. So $38 billion goes to the meat and dairy industry, and only 20 million goes into fruits and vegetables. 38 billion versus 20 million. So you can see that there's a huge disparity in what industry gets. So fruits and vegetables are very what human beings are designed to run on: fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains. But if you go into the grocery store and try to buy fruits and vegetables, you're looking and say, man, these vegetables, the good quality food is very, very expensive as compared to if I go to McDonald's. I can go to McDonald's right now and go get a cheeseburger for $1, right? I can get a cheeseburger for $1 at McDonald's. If I go into the grocery store right now and go try to pick up a thing of kale, I can't get a thing of kale for $1. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You're gonna get kale for like 3, 4, $5 or whatever it's cost. As compared to a cheeseburger, simply because the government gives 38 billion versus 20 million. So that is the problem. Why that we are so obese, we are so out of shape, we have so many different diseases, simply because this one thing called money. Money makes the world go round.
Or you said we're not supposed to eat meat. Uh, are you basing it on our digestive system
Mhm.
that it was not supposed to digest well, or it was not designed to digest properly? Is that why we have problem with it?
Correct.
Is it that it's not boiled well? It's not cooked well, or as human being, the way that we were anatomically designed, we were supposed to eat only fruits. Let
It's
me
how
understand that.
Yes, it's how our body is designed. So if you take there are three three different types of I'll take it all the way back to the beginning. So when the world was created over 2.5 billion years ago, and then all of the life forms started to be created. So whoever you believe in, whoever your religious affiliation is, or whether you believe in, whether you believe in Jesus, or whether you believe in Allah, or whether you believe in the Big Bang theory, or whether you believe in Buddha, it doesn't matter who you believe in. There is a creator, and when the creator created this planet, there was also there was only three special diets that were created. So it's herbivore, which means that you eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains. You eat vegetation. That's an herbivore. And then you have a carnivore. A carnivore eats meat. So those are the lions and the tigers and the bears and uh, uh, cheetahs. All these different. Those are called carnivores. They eat other animals. They eat other animals alive. And nature had designed them specifically that way. And then also you have omnivore. Omnivore are a combination of both, where they eat fruits and vegetables, and vegetation, and then it can also eat other animals in the sense that they eat the raw flesh of the other animals. So human beings fall into the herbivore category. Here's why. Herbivores, if you take a herbivore and you look at their teeth, you see my teeth? They're flat. They go in a side to side grinding motion, right? Meaning that they are designed to eat vegetation and grind up vegetation. Now, if you go to a carnivore, if you look at a carnivore and if you look at the teeth of a carnivore, if you look at how wide he can open his mouth, I'm talking about a lion, even a dog, um, they can open their mouth very, very wide, and they have very, very sharp teeth for scissoring. They scissor their prey, right? It's for ripping and cutting, and they have very, very strong jaw pressure. Now, they're eating. The reason that they do this is because they have raw. I mean, they're eating raw flesh. They're eating another animal alive. So if you look at human beings, our teeth are not flat. They're not built for ripping or anything. They go in a grinding motion like that. Now, if you look at a cow, if you look at a deer, if you look at a horse, if you look at all these other animals that are eating their natural fuel sources because they're natural herbivores, look at what they're eating, and they're eating vegetation, and look at how flat their teeth are, and look at how they go into a grinding motion. Now, our digestive system, you asked about the digestive system. The digestive system of an herbivore goes about 12 times the length of their spine. So if you take all of my guts out right now, it's going to go about 30 feet. That's pretty long, depending on your height, but it goes about 12 times the length of your spine. These are for herbivores. Now, a carnivore, on the other hand, they have very, very short digestive systems, meaning that there's going to go about less than 10 feet. The reason for this is because if you've ever taken a piece of meat and you've left a piece of meat out on the stove, or if you just left it out on the counter, an uncooked piece of meat on the counter, what's going to happen to that when you come back a couple of days later?
If you leave it unattended to, I think if it's going to start start to decay, as it were, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to start to decay. Yeah. The reason that Mother Nature designed carnivores, meat eaters, to have very short digestive system is because, just like you just said, if you leave a piece of meat out on the counter for days at a time, it's going to start to rot. It's going to start to decay. So Mother Nature knows this. So Mother Nature designed a carnivore to have a very short digestive system. Because why? Because they eat raw flesh. They eat the raw flesh of other animals, and it's going to decay. So whether it's inside of the organism of whether it's left out on a counter, it's still going to rot, or whether it's inside of an organism, a live organism, guess what? It's still going to rot. So people always ask, like, hey, where does colon cancer come from? I can tell you what colon cancer comes from. Colon cancer comes from the things that you put inside your colon, in the sense that human beings are not designed to handle animal flesh on a regular basis, simply because our digestive system does not match that. Our anatomy does not match that. Our physiology does not match that. I can go even deeper into it, but that's just kind of like on the surface of what it is. There's way more involved in an herbivore versus an omnivore versus a carnivore. So human beings have a very long digestive system. The reason we have a long digestive system is because fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, they have a lot of nutrients and a lot of nutrients. And it takes it a very long time for your body to digest these nutrients. So therefore, you have to have a very long digestive system. A carnivore has a very short digestive system simply because they're eating rotting flesh. They're eating raw flesh. So if you eat raw flesh, and if I put a long digestive system into that, guess what's going to happen? It's going to start to decay. Going to start to decay, where it's already supposed to be out of your body. But guess what? It's still inside of your body. It's still got another 15 feet to go. Right? And it's still in there rotting. So that is why um, we develop all these different diseases simply because our gut microbiome is thrown off. A gut microbiome is a family of bacteria inside of your gut that determines who you are, determines your personality, determines how your body expresses itself. It determines how you feel. It determines everything about you. And if you're feeding it the wrong fuel, the wrong bacteria are going to start to eat that raw decaying flesh. And the more bad bacteria that is accumulated, the less healthy you're going to be. So it's best to eat the right fuel source for a human being, which are based on our anatomy, is all fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains. Now, I'm not telling you that you got to be 100% plant-based or 100% vegan like me, but what I am saying is at least 90% of the time you should be eating the natural fuel source. So if you want to, venture out and have some, animal products, or if you want to have some processed food, you know, 10% of the time, that's it. 10%. Don't go more than 10%, and you'll live a very natural, normal life uh, without health issues. Not saying 100%, but you are going to definitely lower your chances or increase your chances of living a more fruitful life, a more healthier life, if you use a philosophy of 90% fruits and vegetables, 10% of junk food.
Mhm. All right. So when you look at the teeth of the human being,
Right.
you examine the inside,
Hmm.
and you look at the teeth of maybe a goat,
Hmm.
or maybe a cow.
Hmm.
Do we look alike in the way that it is set up?
100%. 100%. If you look at the jaw, if you go right here, you got this your temple right here, and if you look at all of the muscles, so there's tons of muscles inside of here, muscles to allow your teeth to go in a grinding motion and a up and down. It can go all different types of directions, right? So with a cow, if you look, they're chewing. It's called chewing. So they're chewing their food. They have muscles inside of their a jaw cavity that allows them to chew their food. Their food goes in a certain direction. Now, if you look at a carnivore does not chew this food. Their jaws are not designed. If you look, they go in a scissor motion. They go up and down. They go like this in a scissor motion. And if you ever look at a dog, you see how my teeth are flat? My teeth don't overlap over the top of each other. Now, if you look at a carnivore, a dog, for instance, if you look at a dog, you'll see that his teeth will go like jagged. They'll cross each other. You know what I mean? Like the top teeth will go over the bottom teeth, and the bottom teeth will go over the top, kind of like in a yeah. Your teeth kind of go like this, where they can kind of go over the top of each other, right? When they come down and they go over the top of each other, just like that. Your teeth will keep, and then the bottom teeth will go up through the top. The reason for that is because their teeth are designed to cut things, and they have stronger jaw pressure. Stronger jaw pressure in the sense that human beings only have about 150 psi of jaw pressure, 150 pounds of psi, pounds per square inch of jaw pressure. That's nothing, right? Nothing at all. A dog on a minimum is going to have 200, a minimum of 200. Human beings have a max of 150. Now, if you start getting into the other, depending on the type of dog it is, some dogs can go up to 400 pounds per square inch, and then you start going up to lions, and then tigers, and then cheetahs, and then leopards. These animals, their jaw pressure goes up to 1,000 psi. Some more than that, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. A crocodile's psi will go up to 3,000 pounds per square inch. 3,000. That is the most powerful bite on the planet. 3,000 pounds per square inch. And if you look at how an alligator or crocodile's teeth go, they go up and down. They have they don't go in the side to side grinding motion like a goat or like a cow or anything. For instance, I'll give you an example. This is the example I like to give. If you eat a piece of, let's just say if you go and you eat a human being, if a human being eats a piece of chicken, and what's left when you eat a piece of chicken?
When you eat the bone, of course, there are certain part of it that you are not that you cannot chew it because the chicken is not very okay. Depending on the type of chicken you are eating, also, you know that you get to a certain part of it that you don't really. Maybe you are not used to it. You don't want to chew it because you cannot really chew the whole part of it because of how it is set or how the because you are chewing an element that is not really easy for you to chew compared to maybe when you are chewing flesh. So yeah, for that reason, you don't usually not that you cannot mechanically chew it if the chicken is small, but because you are not used to it, you eat the meat, then you leave away the chicken. But if it is a stronger chicken, of course, you don't even want to bother because then it becomes stronger for your teeth to chew.
Right. Or you're talking about the bone. So the soft part. So human beings will eat the soft part, which is called the meat. We'll eat the meat or the flesh. We'll eat it because it's soft. Because that's all my teeth can handle. My teeth can only handle that soft part. Well, what happens? You say you can either throw it away, or what's the other option?
Uh, well, okay. If you're, say, maybe for example, you want to really take what is the element that is inside, you could boil it and drink the water, for example. Then, because what is inside the meat can uh,
Yeah.
get into the water, then you drink it, then you still have the same sort of nutrient or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah.
Yeah, but the bone. So the bone's left, though, right? If you eat the chicken, the soft part, the bone is left.
Yeah, another way you can be that you can also grind the bone, and of course you can do whatever you want to do with it. But in this sense, you are not using your teeth to grind the bone. You can use a machine to
Yeah.
grind the bone, and depending on how you want to apply it in your meat, apply it in your food, you can also apply it maybe as a powder form or something like that. But naturally, I understand you. Our teeth cannot grind it,
Yeah.
the way that it eats our flesh. Yeah.
Yeah, naturally. Yeah, we're talking about natural right now. Yeah, of course you could use a machine. That's not natural, but yeah. But naturally, you cannot eat a bone. You're just gonna have a piece of bone. You're gonna throw it in the trash, or you're gonna give it to the dog. But if you give it to the dog, what's the dog gonna do with it?
Oh, the dog is going to eat it up.
Yeah, he's gonna eat it up. He's gonna eat it up without a trace. That's because nature has perfectly designed. Nature has told. This is nature. This is how nature talks to you subliminally. Nature says, okay, you got to throw the bone. This is how I know human beings are not designed to eat animal flesh. You take the bone and it's left, like, oh yeah, it's bone. There's nothing left. You throw it away, or you give it to the dog. The reason that you throw it away is because your teeth are flat and they go in a grinding motion, and you only have 150 psi of pressure. So if you try to bite a bone and try to eat that bone, then it's not going to be good for you, right? It's not going to be good at all for you. You're going to have, when you swallow it, yeah, it's not going to be good at all. Now, if I throw that to my dog is going to eat it up because his teeth are designed to go in a cutting motion. So he'll take that and he'll eat the bone all the way till there's nothing left, right? Because the nature has designed him that way. So that is the reason that human beings are that we throw the bone away. So why do we throw the bone away? Is because nature has already told us you can't eat that. But it told the dog, it told the wolf that, hey, this is what I designed for you. I designed you to have sharp teeth. I designed you to have a jaw pressure that is extremely powerful, right? That is how I designed you.
All
Another,
right.
yeah, go ahead.
I got a question for you, Kelly. Are we really all living according to how nature designs us, or we are living trying to apply certain tool technology to make our life the way we want it? I'll give you an example. Nature really didn't design us to. You were in the Air Force, right?
Navy.
In the Navy, okay, but in the Navy, you're not far away. If there is a war, you're still going to work with those in the Air Force. You are going to fly a jet. You're going to fly a F-35, F-36 or F-16. These are machines that we have created. The
Mhm.
human being was not naturally designed to fly in the air, but
Correct.
we have designed a machine that takes us in the air so that we can do what we are not naturally
Yeah.
designed to do. Now, what I'm saying is it possible that we can also do the same thing using tools to be able to, first of all, identify what might be necessary for us to live better or to do certain things that we want to do inside a particular meat? Say, for example, the marrow inside the bone, but we cannot crack the bone open and get the marrow. Maybe the marrow is useful for us. Now, we design a tool to be able to break it open and suck the marrow inside the bone. Is that wrong? What is wrong in that?
What is wrong with taking something out of it, or the example you gave about human beings are flying, we can fly and things like that, we build aircrafts and things like that to go from one uh, a part of the world to the another. So that is what the creator designed us to do. This is what separates human beings from every other species on the planet, is our ability to think, our mind. right? Our mind is very, very powerful. Like just like you're saying, you can build airplanes to go to fly across and build fighter jets. You can build these huge you can build these huge skyscrapers. You can build all these different things that no other species on this planet are ever designed to do. But the example you gave me is, if you look at all the here's how I would answer. If you look at, there are only three species that are pretty much overweight. Three species, right? So now you can take and you can grind up meat and you can make it and uh uh use all these different technology to make it however you want it, but it still doesn't mean that it's natural for the human body. In an instance, there are three species that are overweight. There's human beings, there's dogs, and there's cats. These are the three species that are overweight. There are no other animals within nature that will are overweight. So there's no overweight hippopotamus. There's no overweight alligators. These are large animals. There's no overweight, giraffes and tigers and lions. These are large animals, but they're not overweight. An elephant is a large animal, but they're not overweight simply because they eat their natural diet all day, every day. So again, with human beings, we can take and we can build all different types of stuff because of our mind, but it still doesn't take the way that nature has specifically designed three fuel sources: herbivore, omnivore, carnivore, right? Based on the on your anatomy. Now, I can go even more into anatomy if you want, but
Yeah, please go. We're here for it.
yeah. So let's just say, so we talked about the teeth, we talked about the digestive system, we talked about, now let's talk about the speed at which these animals can run. If you look at how fast a tiger, a lion can run, they can run about 40 miles an hour. You look at about a gazelle, they could run like 45, 50 miles an hour. If you look at a all these different other animals, these are animals are fast. If you look at how fast a human being, how fast do you think a human being can run?
Well, I don't know exactly if I can give you figure, but it might probably be wrong because I'm not an expert in this.
Yeah. At the Olympics, let's just say you seen Usain Bolt at the Olympics. How fast is he running, do you think?
I think it's very fast, but I don't know exactly what is the figure, what is the number.
Yeah.
But I think it runs very fast. Yeah,
Yeah,
but of course, not as fast as the animal would do.
right, right. We're talking about in real nature. We're talking about 25 to 27 miles an hour. That is all a human being can do. That's all they can do is they can run 25 to 27 miles and these are guys at the Olympics. I'm talking about the fastest human beings on the planet. And they can only do that for about 100 to 150 yards. Anything over the 200, you're going to start to slow down a little bit.
But if we were to look at it like that, I think we also need to consider the structure, the bone of the human being, because now we are standing erect, no?
Correct. We
Now
stand.
you are working against the force of gravity erect. Just, you are moving like this, no?
Correct.
But there are other animals that are flat, no?
Yeah, right.
I don't think we are ever going to beat them, no matter what we do in a race, because they are like an arrow, just
Yeah.
piercing the gravity. Whereas we are like an object like this tall, with all our
Yeah.
height
So human
piercing it. I think it's going
human
to be
beings,
against us. Yeah.
human beings, we stand upright and we walk with flat
Yeah.
feet and 2 feet, right? And we can only run 25 miles an hour. A
Yeah.
dog, on the other hand, it's because we're human beings. It's called predation. The reason that we stand upright like that, Obehi, is because we are designed for um, foraging. Foraging is what it's called. So if you look at all the other herbivores, deers and all these different animals, these animals are meant for foraging. Foraging meaning that you go from one place to another place in very long distances, meaning that you're designed to go in very long distances based on how your anatomy is built. They have some of these animals have skinny legs, and they are designed for walking for a very long period of time. So you walk for a very long period of time so that you can be able to find all the fruits and vegetables and all the colorful different vegetables that you can have. Now, lions and tigers and bears, on the other hand, they're built for predation. Predation in the sense that I'm going to be a predator. Just like you were saying, human beings, we walk upright. A dog, if you ever look at a dog, he's always in a crouched position. If you look at a dog's back legs, it has four legs. If you look at a dog's back legs, and if you look, they always walk on their toes. A dog, if you look at a dog, he's on his toes all the time. You're like, why is he on his toes all the time? It's simply because we don't have to get ready. They don't have to get ready. If you look at the Olympics, when you say all these sprinters, like in the 100-meter dash or the 200-meter dash, what do they have to do? They have to get into the blocks. They have to say, on your mark, get set, and they have to get into an upright position where they're on their toes. It's called the starting blocks. And then the guy goes and boom, he shoots the gun, and then they shoot out like a rocket. Guess what? A dog doesn't have to do that. A cat doesn't have to do that. They're already ready. So that is why they walk around on their toes. If they see an animal, if they see a prey, they're like that. If you ever tried to race my dog, I race my dog all the time. We're going for a run, like I beat him all the time. But I'm like, man, my dog's slow. But I figure out that my dog is only playing with me. If my dog sees a squirrel within seconds, I'm talking about seconds, I see him totally change his mindset, and he goes from 0 to like 100 miles an hour in like the snap of a finger. It's simply because he walks around on his toes all the time, and his legs are bent in a kind of like I'm already ready. Just like when the Olympic sprinters, they have to get into the blocks. And it's the same thing for a carnivore. They're already ready to be able to track down their prey. And when they get their prey, they have claws to be able to take that prey and hold it and eat the raw flesh of that animal immediately right away. If a human being, there's no way in heck that I could catch a rabbit with my bare feet. There's no way in hell that I could catch a deer, right? The only way I can catch a deer naturally is, the only way I can catch a deer is with a shotgun. I shoot him with a gun. That is the only, or if I hit him with my car. That's the only way I can really catch a deer. If I set a trap, I can't catch a deer naturally. Lions, they only win like 20% of the time. If a lion goes out on a hunt, about 10 to 15 to 20% of the time is when they will get their meal. So if they go out 10 times, they'll probably win maybe 2 times. That's after 10 times. And these guys are built for that. They're built to chase down their prey. They're built to, when they get their prey, to tear limb from limb. Human beings, we walk around with flat feet, and we can only run at the most 25 miles an hour. And these are for the guys who are in the Olympics. So what about for the people who can't, run that fast? What about, was nature flawed in her design when she designed human beings? It says, listen, I know that you can't run that fast. I know that you don't have the brute strength to be able to take down this animal. I know that you don't have the teeth to be able to take down this animal. I know that you don't have the claws to be able to take down this animal. But yet, I am going to design you to eat meat. So therefore, you ask Mother Nature, like, Mother Nature, why did you design me this way? And then I'll go even further. Let's just say if you take it into the ocean. Let's say if you go into the ocean, there is not a human being within the history of man that could breathe underwater. We cannot breathe underwater. I don't care how many times you try, you can't breathe underwater. Yes, we can build, like you were saying earlier, yes, you can build scuba gear to be able to go underwater, to be able to build scuba gear. But naturally, you can't breathe underwater. A, I can't breathe underwater. And then B, if you ever tried to catch a fish with your bare hand, it is the most impossible thing in the world, right? It is the most impossible thing. Human beings can only swim 4.7 miles per hour. 4.7. If you try to catch a fish at 4.7 miles an hour, that is nothing in the ocean. So therefore, human beings, we can't breathe underwater, and we can't catch the fish with our bare hands. And if we did catch it, what are we going to do? We can't take the scales off and things like that right then and there. Naturally, it has to be taken, and you have to take the scales off, and you have to take the guts out. Guess what? A shark doesn't have to do that. A shark is already designed by nature to be able to be a predator, to eat fish raw, just like they are, right? And it's the same thing for all of these different other animals, right? Nature specifically designed them. All of their anatomy, if you break down their anatomy, there's specific reasons for each and every one of the parts that they have on their body. A wolf has a hard shell, like his chest is pretty hard. So whenever he's trying to catch a gazelle, and the gazelle tries to kick him, guess what? He's got a strong chest to be able to defend that and still take down the animal, to be able to eat the flesh. A human being, there's no way in hell that I could take down And if you look at the gonads, or if you look at the private parts of a dog, or wolf, or everything like that, guess where they are? They're in the back. A dog has his genitals are all the way in the back. That's simply because if you try to catch another animal and he kicks you. Guess what? He's going to kick you in the chest. He's not going to kick you in the sensitive part, where as us being men, we know that that's a very, very sensitive part. So if you take a human being, we walk upright. If we walk upright, and guess where our genitalia is, our most sensitive part of our. Yeah, if you walk around, and if you try to catch a deer with your walking upright with flat feet, with your genitals being in the front, that is a very bad design. That is not the design for winning when it comes to capturing another animal and eating their flesh. And again, you see with the lions and tigers and bears, all of their junk is in the back. They walk around on their toes so they can be in a position to be able to go. They don't have to get ready; they're already ready. So that's just some of the differences between an herbivore, a human anatomy versus the anatomy of a real true meat eater.
If we agree that life is only one source,
Mhm.
it means that the goat, the cattle, that okay, at one point life was only in the water. Now from there it come out of the water, they evolve. We have different form of it. When it was one source, it probably was doing the same thing. But as it evolved differently, it doesn't continue to do the same thing. That is a kind of thinking that I'm having. That is it
Right.
possible it is like this, so that the human being, because he's no longer in the park working with the lion, is not going to be eating grass like the goat or the pigs. Is decide to eat something differently, because the human being have something that the goat or the cattle do not have, which is fire. We're able to set fire, and we can cook anything that we want to cook with it and eat it.
Right. As far as evolution is concerned, and if you look at anybody that you look at, anybody that has passed away, right? They all die from Here's an okay. I'm gonna answer that question just like I'm gonna give you a scenario, and then you tell me if human beings have evolved. This is how our brains. This is how our brains think. This is how our anatomy thinks, and then it's gonna make sense at the end. So I want you to play along with me, right? So if you take a 2-year-old human baby, a 2-year-old human baby, and a 2-year-old lion, right, and you put them, well, a 2-year-old human baby, and you just say, okay, I got a lot of stuff to do around the house. I'm very, very busy. And you take the 2-year-old baby and you put him in the crib. So a 2-year-old baby, they're just going to get into things, right? A 2-year-old baby, if you put a baby in a crib, he's going to want to try to get into things because you have stuff to do around the house. Let's just say you put a apple and you put a live bunny rabbit into the playpen with the human baby. What do you think? When you come back 2 hours later, which one is the baby going to eat and which one is the baby going to play with? So you got an apple and you have a live bunny rabbit. You come back 2 hours later. What do you think? I'm talking about now. We're talking about currently now. Evolution, all the evolution in the world, right? It's evolution in 2.5 billion years. Today, if you take a human baby and you put him in a crib, 2 years old, and you put a apple and a bunny rabbit, a live bunny rabbit, when you come back 2 hours later, which one's the baby gonna eat? Which one's the baby gonna play with?
I think the little baby is going to eat the apple.
The 2-year-old is gonna eat the apple, okay?
Mm.
And what's he gonna do with the bunny rabbit?
Perhaps if we do a really good observation there, we might even see that perhaps maybe the little baby is going to try to eat any of them that it reaches first. But of course, he's going to see that one is easy to eat, and maybe the other one is not easy to eat, or something like that.
Right.
Then of course, because if you give a child anything at all, the child is putting it to the mouth. He's not really knowing whether it is food or not. He just putting it to the mouth. If the thing is something that can penetrate, that can go inside, say, if you put a poison in the glass, or maybe a poison in the apple, or anywhere, you give it to the baby is not going to say, oh, it's not good, it's good, I'm going to take that. He just put it in the mouth. If he can put it in the mouth, he will put it inside, no?
Yeah.
So I think the one that is easier for the baby to go inside, in this case the apple, it will just eat it.
So
For this reason, yeah.
the apple, right, is because it's like you said, it's easier. It's easier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would happen? What happens if the baby has to try to eat that bunny rabbit? He's not gonna eat. If you Okay, we'll keep playing. We'll keep playing. We'll play along. So he's going to eat the apple, and then he's going to probably play with the bunny rabbit, or you say he might try to eat the bunny rabbit too.
No, I think it's not going to eat the bunny rabbit because probably it's not going to be easy. So it's going to play with it because, yeah, I think so. It's just my thinking.
Okay. This is now we're talking about naturally. We're talking about a natural. Go back to a baby, and you put that baby in there. He's going to try to eat that apple, and then you said he's going to maybe he might play with the bunny rabbit, or maybe he might try to put it in his mouth because it's too difficult. All right, so this time I'm taking a 2-year-old baby out, and I'm going to put a 2-year-old lion cub in this time. So if I come back 2 hours later with the same bunny rabbit and that same apple with a lion instead of a human, what do you think's going to happen?
It's most likely that it's not going to eat the apple.
He's not going to eat the apple. What's he going to eat?
It's going to eat the rabbit.
Yeah, he's gonna eat the rabbit. You're gonna come back 2 hours later, and you're gonna be like, "Man, I knew that this was I knew that this was a lion. I know that they eat rabbits, right? So if I come back and they eat rabbits, you're like, oh man, I know this is a rat. I know this is a lion. I know he's gonna eat that apple. I'm sorry, I know that he's gonna eat that bunny rabbit. It's just gonna be blood all over the place. Now, let's just say if you come back 2 hours later, you were riding this whole scenario, and you come back 2 hours later, but this time you see that the human baby has eaten the bunny rabbit and played with the apple. So if we go back and the human baby has now eaten the bunny rabbit, but yet he's played with the apple, what would you say? It's 2 years old.
But it is, I think it's almost impossible because first, how is the baby going to eat the rabbit? He hasn't gotten the teeth to be able to crack the rabbit and really chew it to eat. So it is almost impossible. Whereas the apple, of course, it depends on the kind of apple in this case we are talking about. Because if you didn't break the apple in any way, it's even going to be difficult anyway. Because it's not really like you can just put it in the mouth to eat. So yes, I think it's going to likely eat.
So what you're telling me is not natural for that. What you're telling me is not natural for that baby to eat that bunny rabbit. Is that what you're saying?
The human being, we are also product of that the baby, it's only 2 years doesn't mean that the baby really has been existing for only 2 years. It's coming from the mother, no?
Yes.
You have the information of the mother. So
Yes.
all these are buried in its own DNA. So it's able to understand certain things beyond just the experience of 2 years. Because otherwise, it would be like life begin in 2 years. Life didn't begin in 2 years. That
Yes.
child is a product of millions of years of evolution.
Yes.
So it's going to most probably move towards what the parent is doing or has been doing.
What you're saying is the baby doesn't. What you're saying is the baby doesn't comprehend. The babies, they don't know. 2-year-olds, they don't know anything about anything. All they know is how to follow their nature. They don't know what 5 times 5 is. They don't know what 10 times 10 is. They don't know what this is from that. They don't. They can understand all that they know how to do. All that a baby knows how to do is follow their nature. That's it. That's all they know how to do is follow their nature. So it will be unnatural if you came back 2 hours later and you saw that human baby has eaten the bunny rabbit and played with the apple. And it will be even crazier if you came back, rewind the scenario, and you came back 2 hours later and you saw a 2-year-old lion has eaten the apple, but yet he's played with the bunny rabbit. That would be very, very unnatural for a lion to eat an apple, but yet play with a bunny rabbit. I say that all of that to say when it comes to things like evolution and things like that, there is evolution does not change the fact that your nature is telling you to eat the apple, aka eat the vegetation. The when you try to eat that bunny rabbit, guess what? It's too difficult to eat. It's too difficult to eat. It's too difficult to try to catch, to try to hold. Guess what? I have to take it to the fire. I have to take it to the fire to be the third thing is I have to take it to the fire to be able to eat this bunny rabbit. First of all, it's difficult to try to take this little 2-year-old baby to try to take this bunny rabbit down. Second, he's got to if he eats it, he's got to take it to the fire. I mean, take it to the fire. He wouldn't eat it raw. If you saw that baby eating that uh, uh, rabbit raw, you probably say that baby's gonna get sick. You'd be like, yeah, he's eating raw flesh. He's gonna get sick, right? And it's the same thing. It doesn't matter that we get older, right? We get older. We get 20 years old. We get 30 years old. We get 40 years old. We get 50 years old, 60, 70 years old. There's nobody, most of the people on this planet, most of the people die unnatural. They die from an unnatural death in the sense that they die from cancer, they die from heart disease, they die from strokes, they die from all these different diseases that people die. They die from Parkinson's disease, they die from all Alzheimer's, they die from all these different diseases simply because our entire life we've been following an unnatural path. An unnatural path meaning that we're eating animal flesh at least 90% of the time, right? You eat animal flesh 90% of the time. When your true nature, just like if you go back to a 2-year-old baby, your true nature says to eat that apple. The true nature of a lion says to, okay, lion, eat the um, eat the bunny rabbit, because that is the way that nature has perfectly designed your digestive system. Nature has perfectly designed your teeth. Nature has perfectly designed your toes. Nature has perfectly designed everything about you. Your saliva in your mouth, everything about you has been designed for you to eat the raw flesh of an animal. You don't have to take it and go take it to the stove to be able to cook the flesh to make it presentable, right? You just eat it right there and then on the spot. So that is the way. That is why human beings, we die. Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
We
I can hear
die. We
you.
die. We die unnatural deaths simply because we've been eating unnaturally our entire life.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I got a question for you. Um, Now, say um, in the forest, all the animals in the forest have been taken away. Is now left with only the lion.
Yeah,
But in this same forest, there are a lot of fruits. The animal never come back. So maybe the lion have no way of going out of that forest. Will the lion die of hunger
correct.
or will he eat fruit?
No, a lion will die of hunger. A lion will die of hunger because a lion's digestive system, a lion's gut microbiome, nature did not design the lions to eat plants. Yeah, so if you take all the animals out of the animal kingdom and you just left a lion there and you just left fruits and vegetables, yes, the lion will perish. The lion would perish because that is not the way that nature has designed for him. And it's the same thing or for the human being. We say we evolved to be able to eat fruits and animal flesh and processed food. We have not evolved to that because that is why 90% of us have a disease that is totally preventable. So the example I like to give with my own self is, listen, I ate the standard American diet. I ate double cheeseburgers, steaks, pork chops, all the processed food that you could imagine. I ate all of that stuff for my entire life. And guess what happened? As a result, my cholesterol was through the roof. I have heart disease and I have pre-diabetes, all simply because I'm putting the wrong fuel source into my body for a human being. Now, I took that whole philosophy and I said, okay, what happens if I take fruits and vegetables and put fruits and vegetables into my body? Nuts, seeds, whole grains. Let's try this experiment. And within 10 months, I lost 70 pounds. I didn't change. And my pre-diabetes is gone. My heart disease is gone. Like, how is that? My cholesterol has dropped 100 points. It's simply because I put the right fuel source into my body, which is designed for human beings. I'm a type of person that, listen, I didn't want to give up my cheeseburgers because I love cheeseburgers, right? I eat the heck out of some cheeseburgers and pork chops and all. I didn't want to. If you look at my old pictures and you see that, oh yeah, he was obese because he loves to eat different types of food. Like, I love food. But the more and more research that I did, the more and more I wanted to know, where does this disease, why do people die? Why do people have cancer? Why do people have heart disease? Why do people have diabetes? Oh, I know why. It's simply because we've been eating the bunny rabbit our entire life. If you eat the bunny rabbit your entire life and you take it and you cook it and on the stove and you season it, you're still going to get sick. The idea is, no matter how much you cook the bunny rabbit, you are still going to get sick. You can delay the process. The human body is very, very adept into trying to heal itself, right? Trying to recover. It's very, very adept in that. So 90% of the people who perish or from these diseases, they're totally preventable simply by changing your fuel source. And that is what I did, and that is what I teach my clients. In my book, I go over each and every one of these topics, and I also have my client reviews where they say, like, listen, everything that I taught them, they put it into action, and their health has changed dramatically simply because I just put them on the correct fuel source. You put your body on the correct fuel source, no matter how you swing it. Now, you can do times where you can have some diesel fuel, as I call it. You can have some animal products. You can have some processed food. You can have some fish.
So it means that the body can actually take the meat that you take in. Maybe it's the quantity that we're having a problem with here.
Is the
All
quantity
right. Yeah.
correct? It's the
Okay.
quantity.
Okay. Now, in line with that, now, if somebody is sick, he take paracetamol or something like that, the sickness might go away after a time, of course. But if we go to see how that medicine came from, of course, usually from plants, but it's not the entire plant that is actually active. There is an active agent in the plant that, based on our study, based on our research, we managed to identify that this is what we need in the plant. We take that small one, you consume it, and it acts on you. Is it possible that we can understand, maybe based on research, maybe based on studies, what is actually causing obesity in the food that we consume so that we can remove it and still eat the same food anyway? It's just a question I'm just,
What's causing obesity is in those foods that are man-made foods that are, all the processed foods. Those foods are, here's the definition of processed food. It's similar to food, but it's not actually food, right? It's food like, but it's not actually food. So when you eat that all the time, guess what? There's no nutrients. There's no real nutrients in those types of foods. They're called calorically dense. They have a lot of calories, a lot of calories, but very very little nutrients. So the calories are way up here, and the nutrients are way down here. So when you eat things like a lot of processed foods, that's what happens to your body. So you're just getting all of the calories, but none of the nutritional value. So when you put that into your body says, your taste buds say, yeah, great, I love it. I love the way that this tastes. This is delicious, right? But when you get it inside of your body says, I have no idea what to do with. If you look at the back of a label and you see all the different names on the back of the label that you can't even pronounce, that is your body. Your body is, when you put that in, if you can't pronounce it, you don't know what it is. Your brain doesn't know what it is. Guess what happens when you put it into your body, and all of the cells inside of your body, they have no idea what to do with some crazy name that a man-made product that someone made up. Your body has absolutely no idea what to do that with that. So what does it do in the meantime? It says, I don't know what to do with that, but in the meantime, I'm going to store this as fat. That's what your body does when it doesn't know what to do something, it stores it in a stores it in your fat cells and say, until I can figure out what to do with this, I'm going to store this into my fat cells. Store it in my fat cells until I can figure out what to do with it. But guess what happens? We as human beings, if you do that one time, once or twice, a very small percentage of the time, your body knows what to do with it. Like, okay, I'm going to put this into my fat cells until I come back later on, and then I can. Your body says, I know what to do with it. But on the other hand, um, it says, I don't know what to do with it. But we do this meal after meal. We do this for breakfast time. We eat the wrong fuel source. And after about 6 hours, your body can start to get rid of the stuff that you did from the meal 6 hours before. But guess what happens? We eat breakfast, and then at lunchtime we eat the wrong fuel source again. And then at dinner time, you give your wrong fuel source again. And then you have all these snacks in between that are the wrong fuel, Snicker bars and all these different types of buttery popcorn and cookies and cakes and crackers and sausages and all these different stuff in the meantime. So your body never really has a chance to get rid of that stuff that you gave it before, and it just keeps on piling on, piling on. Week after week, or day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, until finally you're 500 pounds. You're 500 pounds. You're obese. Your body has no nutritional value. You haven't given your body any real nutrition in the last 5 years. So guess what happens when you don't give your body nutrition in the last, however many years? Your body will start to basically, it's going to start to eat itself. Basically, it's going to eat itself, and it's going to eat you. So when it eats your gut microbiome, I was saying earlier about your gut microbiome, you can either feed the good guys or you can feed the bad guys. So your gut, the bacteria inside of your gut, you can be dead and gone, right? But the bacteria inside of your gut are still going to live on. Your bacteria inside of your gut will eat you alive if you do not give it the right fuel sources. The bad bacteria will start to take over and say, I'm in a state of survival. I'm going to survive before he does, before the organism does. These gut bacteria are going to stay alive. So no matter what. So as long as if you're gone, dead and gone, your gut bacteria are still going to be there. There's trillions of these gut bacteria inside of your body. So if you feed the wrong ones over and over and over again with processed food and animal products, guess what happens? Your gut will start to eat you. And then that's why you develop a chronic disease, a condition, a heart disease, diabetes, all these different stuff is because you have poor gut health. That's why people are always preaching about have good gut health, have good gut health. The reason that you want to have good gut health is so your gut bugs, so they don't eat you alive. You don't want them to eat.
That is a very good advice. I hope those are listening to us, they are paying attention. All right, I got a I got a question, Kelley. You see, I am from Nigeria. I'm from the south of Nigeria,
Yeah,
and I grew up there until 24 years old before I left there, and I'm here in Europe. Not that there are no obese people in Europe where I grew up, but they were really quite few, as it were. Even in the whole of Nigeria, obesity is not something that was really very common. But of course, it's something that is beginning to grow now in our population. And so where I'm trying to go from here is that, is the problem really the meat that we have animal product in the food, or because the food is over processed, therefore it have taken away the nutrient that is required in it, therefore the problem?
it is very much the type of processing of the meat, right? So again, ideally, you can do meat in a very small percentage, but here's where the issues comes in. The issues comes in when you overdo it, and then second of all, the type of processing. So the worst type of meat that you can have, the worst type of food. Yeah, so the worst type of food that you can put into your body is processed food. So we're talking sausages, we're talking uh, corn dog, hot dogs, salami, deli meat. These are the worst type of foods that you could put into your body, which is called processed animal products. If you look at a lot of studies, there are a lot of studies that say the more and more that you increase the two things that are terrible for your or ultra processed foods, and also um, the animal products that are ultra processed animal products. Again, the sausage and the salami and the hot dogs, and these things are detrimental. Now, more so on the whole meat. Now, if you want to go on the whole meat side, okay, that is. I don't recommend meat at all, but if you do, 10% of the time, you want to go on the more whole uh, animal flesh, right? More whole foods, not the processed foods, not the sausages, not the salamis, not the all of these different types of meats that you see in the store that come in a nice little package like that. You want to stay away from those.
All right, now you made mention of your book. I think people want to understand it more. So, what is the message that people should get away from your book? Those who have not gotten it now, they are because they hear of you,
Here it
they
is.
want to go get the book. Yeah. All right. Tell us something about the book.
The book is called "Plant Saved My Life" and how going vegan transformed my health. Right. So it's essentially everything that I just talked about just now, but in greater detail. I'm going to go into my story in the sense that where I was before, and I'm also going to go into every single thing that you need to have good health, in the sense that we're talking about sleeping. Well, how do you sleep? A lot of people sleep terribly. Well, they sleep terribly because they're eating at the wrong times and they're eating the wrong fuel source at the wrong time. So I go into things like that in the book. I go into how do you lose weight forever? Like, it's called Weight Loss 101. How do you go in and lose weight forever so you don't have to worry about counting calories ever again in your life? How do you, and then another, or how are you aware of what's going on in the marketing industry? And what is marketing saying? Hey, marketing saying eat this, eat that, eat this. How to avoid the marketing scams, right? That are detrimental to your health. Even though these things look great on the television, when it comes to your body absolutely hates that. So it's an instruction manual and it's an inspirational guide to show you how you can transform your health. Again, I went 100% all plants, but in my book, I talk about yes, mostly about plants, but I also tell you how you can sneak some animal products into there. Right? I don't do the animal products, but my book is for everybody in the sense that, okay, maybe you don't want to be 100% plant based or you don't want to be 100% vegan like I am, but you do want to be healthy. So I teach you how do you get healthy by using these simple techniques and simple philosophies in life. So that is what I teach people. I teach people how my book is about how do you navigate through life without counting calories.
Thank you so much. How can people get this book? Where can they find it? And most importantly, how can they find you? Please share with them.
Yeah, the book is not going to be out until May 9th, until May. But in the meantime, you can sign up for my email newsletter. And on my email newsletter, I'm not sure if you can put this in the chat or somewhere, but on my email newsletter, you can go to the website is go.onedeterminedvegan.com/book. So it's go.onedeterminedvegan.com/book. And there you can sign up for my email newsletter. And then on a weekly basis, I give you updates on when the book is coming. And also there's training videos on there talking. Everything that we talked about right now, I go into training video. There's about a 10-minute training video on each of these email newsletters that's going to, each week is a new lesson, a new topic that talks about, whatever.
Thank you for that. Now, what would be your final thought here, considering the conversation that we have had today?
I'll say my final thought is this. My final thought is, just like we talked about earlier, you want to let nature be your tour guide, in the sense that you're going to see so many different things, so many different commercials, so many different advertisements, so many different things that you are going to see on the television that are going to confuse you. You may get confused by family and friends, even your doctor. Some doctors, one doctor may say this, another doctor may say that. Marketing may say this, marketing may say that. But one thing that you do have to do is you have to be able to listen to, what does nature say? I get that all these other people say this, but if you think logically about what nature actually is, if you think logically about how you're actually, your physiology, your anatomy, how you're actually designed from nature, if you always go back to nature, that is going to be your driving force. So you always want to let nature be your tour guide.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, my good sir.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.